Hey everybody, welcome to The Dose. My name has not changed. It is still Brian McIntosh, and I'm very, very glad to have you here. Today's message, very, very simple, but very, very powerful. You know, in my industry of network marketing, one of the first things we train people on when they come into a training, like a Saturday training or something like that, is we begin with mindset. Like, what kind of mindset do you need to have? And one of the things that we're always talking about is your why. You know, you need to have a why. You need to have a why that makes you cry, right? How many guys have ever heard that, okay? If you've ever been in any kind of sales, commission-only type of sales business, if you've ever been involved in network marketing, you've always heard people say, you gotta have a why that makes you cry, you know? I want you to know that as cliche as that sounds, there's real science behind it. And here's what it is. It's desire. You see, if you want to achieve anything at a level greater than the average individual, you have to have a desire inside that burns white hot. Because only when you have a white hot burning desire will you do more than what the average person will do. Because you see, as human beings, we all kind of like to loaf, don't we? We all kind of like to do just enough to get by. It's really in our human nature. And it's fantastic to know that because, you know, every other organism on the planet, plant, animal, single cell, whatever, excels to the limits of its capability. How big will the tree grow? As tall as it can, right? How much will a person do? As little as they have to, right? It's a very, very different scenario because human beings is the only organism on God's green earth that intentionally underachieves, right? But it's okay because we know that, right? Once again, we don't have to change the rules. We just have to know how to play within them, okay? But you've got to have a white hot burning desire deep down inside of you if you expect yourself to do more than what the average person does. If you do what average people do, you're going to get what average people get. If you want to have extraordinary results, you have to be extraordinary. You have to do something more than what the ordinary individual is willing to do. And you can do that by sheer willpower for a brief period of time. But there comes a point when it becomes inconvenient or when it gets in the way of other things you want to do that you won't anymore unless something burns so deep within you and so white hot that it wipes out all the distractions, that it wipes out all of the obstacles, all of the landmines. And the only way to create that burning, white-hot desire is to have a reason why you're doing what you're doing. Does this make sense? Because it needs to make sense. You see, I'm trying to help you understand why sometimes we make commitments and we don't follow through. How many of us ever made New Year's resolutions and, you know, right? Hey, I'm going to join that gym, baby. How many of us ever paid for a gym membership we never used, right? If you didn't raise your hand, right, how many of us have ever lied when somebody asked us a question like, okay, good. If you don't have a burning reason why, there's a good chance you won't follow through on the commitments you make to yourself, or at least not to a level or a degree that is above what the average person will do. You see, the average person joins a gym and never goes. The average person starts a diet, starts cheating on the second day, and is completely done by the fourth day. The average person, you know, puts in just enough time at work so that they don't get fired. And in return, they get paid just enough so they don't quit. These are what average people do. You and I, we are not average. This is not for us. We are exceptional. And so we must behave and conduct ourselves in an exceptional manner all of the time in the pursuit of all of our endeavors. But the only way that's going to happen is if we have that burning white hot desire. And the only way that's going to be there is if you isolate why you're doing something. You need to have the reason that moves you. And some people think that's ridiculous. I don't know a reason why. Well, guess what? They're going to keep producing mediocre, average, garden variety results. And that's okay for some people, but not for you and I. See, we're the achievers, and so we know. And that's why you'll find that the same people who've started diet after diet after diet, never lost a pound, who've joined gym after gym after gym and never went, but then suddenly at 52 years old, they have a heart attack. And they survive the heart attack. And the doctor says, if you don't lose weight, start exercising, quit smoking, quit drinking, you're going to die. And all of a sudden, this same individual is eating like a rabbit, right? All veggies, all the time, right? On the treadmill, 3 hours a day, right? You want a soda? No, water for me, thanks, right? All of a sudden, their why became so large, right? Their why is they don't want to die. All of a sudden, their reason is they want to live. And when you've got a reason or a why that's that big, you can overcome anything. Motivate, you don't need to be motivated anymore. Because you've got a burning desire inside here that's going to motivate you to do more than what the average person would do. Have you ever noticed that somebody who has a child maybe who's ill, and they've got to find a way, some sort of medical treatment or the money to do a certain procedure, man, they find it. They do some extraordinary off-the-chart things to get that done because their why is so big. So here's what you must do. You must isolate. What is your reason? What drives you? Some of us, most of us, the overwhelming majority of us, have no idea. But if you sit down and you think about it long enough, you'll figure out what moves you. What makes you cry? What stirs up those feelings inside of you? For me, it's music and it's performance. I know that's going to shock a lot of people, right? But when I see a speaker on stage deliver an earth-shattering talk, or when I watch a live concert, and I see a performer or a group of musicians put on an incredible performance, man, it stirs up all kinds of crazy stuff inside of me. And I know that I was born and put on this earth to run my mouth and to deliver messages and to deliver information and even sometimes performances that move people. Because when I see it being done to me, it moves me in ways I can't describe. For some people, they couldn't care less about that. But man, when they sit down and manage their finances down to the penny and nitnoid it just so many, they just fill up with so much pride. These people were born to be accountants. Do you understand what I'm saying? Figure out what burns within you and then isolate what you want and make the desire for it so big that it consumes everything else. And when that happens, I'm telling you guys, you can move mountains. You can run laps around the world. You will set yourself on fire. The world will come watch you burn. And that's the dose.